Now, before we get started, I know what you're thinking. Matt, why are you holding a microphone? That's because this donut has misplaced his lapel mic.
You imbecile! You bloated idiot! You stupid fathead! You...
It's the penultimate episode of the SquadFour review. We're excited and so are you. Run the titles. I've been super excited about this episode since we started doing it.
And it's only fitting that we're going to end where it all began.
FEUD was the film that put us on the map. It was the film that got our first official selection.
I had to use a different tablet today. This is my Huawei.
Wow.
Way.
My other one decided to die. Oh well.
Full vol, as always.
So let's get into it.
Let's find out how it turned out, shall we?
So we did a job recently, some commercial work with a drone, and we were actually talking how they filmed this first scene, and they actually carried the drone running alongside them.
Look at that. Oh, the drone. The drone.
These first shots here, these drone shots, they just set the premise for the quality that the film is going to be.
I think this is the only film we've made as well where we've had the music specially made for the film.
It's got that undertone all the way through it.
So my good friend from university is a music producer, and he literally created the soundtrack to the movements of this, which, as you'll see as you go through it, it just heightens the piece.
Look at that focus pull though. What? This moment. Boom, flip, camera goes with it. It's top, it's so good.
This is how Matt deals with his own emotions of leaving the house. This is the internal fight he has. It's just now on film.
Hang on a second. I recognise that hoodie. Illuminati.
For all the effects that we're really good with, the fake blood on the left side of the mouth just looks like a strawberry jam stain from a donut.
Safe to say I got a little bit muddy here. I love this bit.
It's so good, this moment's so good. It's so frantic from the beginning, the audience is like, oh. And this is the first time you get a bit of a breather, but the breather is so, it's a horrible breather.
It's one shot the staging him where he's punching me. It's just brutal. It is brutal.
Good sound effects, good camera movement, and the fighting's decent, but they are trained, so, like, you know, stage combat comes in handy apparently.
It's the sound of that water as well. Oh.
This is a great shot, this, of him walking out of the water, and just as he gets out of the water, this focus shifts to match him.
Better lens flare, love that. Joe looks badass here.
But I think this is done really well because of the way the camera switches and the fast switches and the sounds, the noises.
Music's sounding a bit like something from The Lion King here. We have a fight on Pride Rock. Oh, that punch. I love that shot because we nailed that in one take.
That camera movement is so good.
That's better blood coming out of his mouth where he has to spit it out.
Oh, nut shot. Cheap shot there, Joe.
Shout out to Jono, man. That water is cold.
Good drowning sequence, decent. Looks really good, that. Really well filmed.
I think they switched to 4K here.
This drowning scene is literally him underwater for a lengthy period of time, and that water is freezing cold.
He's gone. He's dead. Smash! Have him! Go on!
Oh, big rock.
Oh, rock to the head.
That fake blood still looks not great. But the next bit that splats up onto his face, it's fresh. That looks good.
Oh, so good. So good.
And then it looks quite excessive there for me. That's a lot of blood on the face for the way that it would maybe splat. I mean, I like it, I do like it, but I just feel it might be a bit too much blood to come up like that, unless he's like hit him in the head and then like rubbed his face in it, you know?
Versus like rotate and zoom just to mimic the other movements in the film. And there we are, FEUD, our first film. We did it the first time around, and it just wasn't quite enough. The shot wasn't quite right, and it was the last shot of the film, so it needed to be right. So, a few days later, Danny actually came along, just me and him, and we shot this last shot, reshot it, and I'm so glad I did, because as you can see, it's very impactful.
Those are my shots at the end there. My shots. Although I'm not in the credits.
The whole point of the story was that there wasn't really a story. Obviously there's a narrative into what happens. The biggest thing about this film for me was that it didn't have a plot, and that was purposeful so that we could kind of experiment with that and see if people would come to us with their own ideas of what happened and their own interpretations. It's been quite enjoyable hearing what other people think happened. Maybe we should make a prequel and reveal our own storyline.
It's great with the fighting. You feel like you're involved in the fighting. You know, it's right up close and personal. It's moving with the fight. No real effects in it in terms of what we see in our other films with Matt putting a lot of the work in. It's more down to actual hard work of the camera crew, designing the shots and composing the shots, which is nice. Just the fake blood. Just the fake blood's a bit rubbish. Like, I think we need to probably learn more practical effects because the fake blood for me wasn't great. Again, the dry bit around the mouth just looked a bit Halloween, school disco.
There's just one thing that bugs me about this film. Just a little bit. Joe, the bad guy, is wearing black. He's got black jeans. He's got a black kind of crisp jacket on. And then them two are just in trackies. I just don't get it. The character there is lost because I'm seeing Matt in some trackies and I'm seeing Jono in some trackies. It feels like in no point during this bad guy's life is he going to meet up with two tracky bottom manx. So that's the only thing. Everything else I absolutely adore about it. The music is brilliant. The colour grade is gorgeous. And it's honestly, it's put us on the map. I adore this film. I absolutely adore it. Our final episode of the series is going to be soon. It's going to be a special finale where all three of us together in the same room review VERTO, our latest short film. For numerous reasons, VERTO is one of our best films. Just in terms of technique, operation, character development, narrative, VERTO has got it all. And it was shot completely in one take. We're going to go into detail of what preparation we did, what lighting we chose to do, why we did certain camera movements, how Matt pulled off some of the special effects. Oh yes, there's special effects in this film as well. And it'll give you a much, much more vivid, colourful image of our filmmaking and our prep and our process. But until then, stay safe, wash your hands, and delete that idiot off Twitter. You know who I'm talking about. And if you don't delete her off Twitter, get in the bin, mate. Squad logo.